Welcome to Farming Aid.
If you think the modern American bison is massive, wait until you discover its ancient ancestor. Thousands of years ago, North America was home to a prehistoric giant called bison latifrons, a creature so enormous that its horns could stretch nearly 7 feet from tip to tip. This Ice Age powerhouse roamed the continent alongside mammoths, giant bears, and saber-toothed predators during the dramatic climate swings of the Pleistocene Epoch. Yet over time, this colossal species gradually transformed into the smaller, faster, and more adaptable bison we recognize today. In this video, we'll explore the incredible evolutionary journey from the gigantic bison latifrons to the resilient American bison. You'll discover how environmental changes, predator dynamics, and migration across ancient landscapes reshaped one of the most iconic animals of North America. The transformation may surprise you, because sometimes evolution does not create bigger animals. Instead, it produces species that are smarter, tougher, and perfectly designed to survive the future. During the early part of the Pleistocene Epoch, North America was a land of giants. Massive mammals dominated the continent, including creatures like the towering Mammuthus columbi and the powerful Smilodon fetalis. In this environment of giant predators and vast grasslands, large body size could provide advantages. Bison latifrons evolved to take full advantage of these conditions. Fossil evidence suggests that this species appeared roughly 300,000 years ago after earlier bison species migrated into North America from Asia across the ancient land bridge known as Bering Land Bridge. Those early migrants belonged to species such as Bison priscus, which spread widely across northern regions. Over time, populations adapted to new environments, and one evolutionary branch gave rise to the colossal bison latifrons. Bison latifrons was truly enormous. Paleontologists estimate that large males could weigh over 2,000 kilograms, making them significantly heavier than the modern American bison. But the most striking feature was the horns. They extended outward in dramatic arcs that could reach more than 2 meters across. These horns were not just for display. They likely played an important role in defense against predators and in competition between males. In the Ice Age world, large carnivores such as Smilodon and the formidable Arctidus simus posed real threats. A massive bison with huge horns would have been a difficult target. The environment of Ice Age North America was also quite different from the landscape we see today. Much of the continent consisted of open grasslands, woodlands, and tundra-like steppe ecosystems often referred to as the mammoth steppe. These regions provided abundant grasses and shrubs that large herbivores could graze on year-round. In such ecosystems, large body size helped animals travel long distances and digest large amounts of fibrous vegetation. Bison latifrons thrived in these conditions, spreading across large areas of what are now the United States and Mexico. But evolution never stands still. As climates fluctuated throughout the Pleistocene, ecosystems began to change. Glacial cycles repeatedly reshaped North America, advancing and retreating ice sheets across the northern parts of the continent. These changes altered vegetation patterns, water availability, and migration routes for large herbivores. Over thousands of years, the environment gradually shifted from the expansive mammoth steppe to more diverse habitats that included forests, mixed grasslands, and seasonal climates. As these environmental pressures increased, the enormous size of bison latifrons may have become less advantageous. Large animals require enormous amounts of food to sustain their bodies. When vegetation becomes less predictable or more seasonal, smaller body sizes often provide a survival advantage. Animals that require fewer resources can adapt more easily to fluctuating conditions. Over many generations, natural selection began favoring slightly smaller bison that could move more efficiently and survive on less forage. This evolutionary transition is reflected in the fossil record. After bison latifrons, paleontologists began finding remains of an intermediate species known as Bison antiquus. Bison antiquus lived roughly between 200,000 and 10,000 years ago and represented a crucial step toward the modern American bison. It was still large, but noticeably smaller than bison latifrons. Its horns were shorter and less dramatically spread, indicating a shift away from the extreme horn size that defined its ancestor. The appearance of Bison antiquus suggests that evolutionary pressures were gradually reshaping the bison lineage. Instead of relying on massive horns and sheer bulk, these animals were evolving toward greater mobility and energy efficiency. In changing landscapes where food sources might be scattered across wider areas, the ability to travel quickly and graze efficiently became increasingly valuable. Another factor that likely influenced this transition was predation. While giant predators existed during the early Ice Age, many of them gradually disappeared toward the end of the Pleistocene. As species like Smilodon and Arctidus declined, the need for enormous defensive horns may have diminished. Evolution tends to eliminate costly traits when they no longer provide strong survival benefits. Large horns require significant energy to grow and maintain, so natural selection likely favored individuals with slightly smaller horns that conserved energy. Human arrival in North America may also have contributed to these changes. Early human groups began spreading across the continent during the later stages of the Pleistocene. These hunters targeted large mammals for food, and their presence added a new selective pressure for herbivores. Animals that matured more quickly, reproduced more efficiently, and required fewer resources would have had a better chance of surviving in a landscape that now included human hunters. As the last ice age came to an end around 11,700 years ago, the world entered the Holocene Epoch. This period brought warmer temperatures, rising sea levels, and the expansion of forests and grasslands across North America. Many of the giant Ice Age mammals disappeared during this transition, including mammoths, giant ground sloths, and saber-toothed cats. Bison, however, survived by continuing to adapt. From Bison antiquus emerged the species we know today as the American bison. This animal was smaller, lighter, and more agile than its ancient ancestors. Instead of relying on gigantic horns, it developed a powerful shoulder hump supported by strong muscles and vertebrae. This hump helps modern bison sweep snow away in winter so they can reach grass underneath. It also allows them to power through deep drifts and rough terrain. The body design of the American bison reflects a species perfectly adapted to life on the grasslands of North America. Their digestive systems allow them to extract nutrients from tough prairie grasses that many other animals cannot efficiently process. Their thick coats protect them from extreme winter cold, while their ability to shed fur helps them tolerate summer heat. These adaptations allowed bison to expand across enormous territories from Canada to northern Mexico. Before European settlement, American bison formed some of the largest animal migrations ever recorded on Earth. Historical accounts describe herds numbering in the tens of millions moving across the plains like living rivers. These animals played a crucial role in shaping prairie ecosystems. Their grazing patterns encouraged the growth of diverse grasses, while their movements distributed nutrients across the landscape. Yet despite their evolutionary success, the American bison faced a near catastrophe in the 19th century. Commercial hunting, habitat loss, and government policies aimed at weakening indigenous nations led to the mass slaughter of bison across the plains. By the late 1800s, the population had collapsed from tens of millions to only a few hundred surviving individuals. Conservation efforts eventually helped restore the species, allowing it to recover and become a symbol of North American wildlife. When we compare the American bison to its ancient ancestor Bison latifrons, the evolutionary transformation becomes clear. The giant horns that once spanned several feet have been replaced by more practical, compact horns. The massive body size has been reduced to a more sustainable form. The species shifted from a giant Ice Age specialist into a flexible grazer capable of thriving in diverse conditions. This transformation illustrates one of the most important principles of evolution. Survival does not always favor the biggest or strongest organisms. Instead, evolution rewards adaptability. As environments change, species that can adjust their bodies, behaviors, and diets often outlast those that rely on a single strategy. The fossil record of bison also shows how evolution can occur gradually across multiple species rather than through a single dramatic transformation. Bison latifrons did not suddenly become the American bison. Instead, the lineage passed through intermediate stages such as bison antiquus. Each species reflected the environmental conditions of its time, carrying traits that helped it survive in a changing world. Modern genetic research continues to shed light on this evolutionary story. DNA studies reveal that American bison share ancestry not only with ancient North American species but also with Eurasian relatives such as the European bison. This connection highlights the ancient migrations that shaped the distribution of large mammals across the Northern Hemisphere. Today, when we see a herd of American bison grazing across a prairie or wandering through national parks, we are witnessing the final chapter of a story that began hundreds of thousands of years ago. These animals are not simply relics of the past. They are the surviving descendants of one of the most dramatic evolutionary journeys in the history of large mammals. The transformation from bison latifrons to the American bison reminds us that evolution is not about perfection but about survival. The giant long-horned bison of the Ice Age was perfectly suited to its world, but when that world changed, new forms emerged that could better handle the challenges of a shifting environment. In a sense, the American bison carries echoes of its giant ancestor. The powerful shoulders, the thick fur, and the strong social herds all reflect traits that evolved long ago when massive herbivores dominated the continent. Yet the smaller size and more efficient design of the modern species show how evolution trimmed away excess features to create an animal capable of thriving in a different era. The story of these animals is also a reminder that evolution never truly stops. Even today, bison populations continue to adapt to new environments, climates, and ecological pressures. Over thousands of years, future generations of bison may look slightly different from those we see today. But regardless of how they change, their lineage will always trace back to the towering giant with the enormous horns that once ruled the Ice Age plains. What makes this story truly remarkable is that the American bison is one of the few surviving giants from that lost Ice Age world. While mammoths, saber-toothed cats, and many other prehistoric animals vanished, bison endured by adapting to a changing planet. Their evolution shows how nature constantly reshapes life, trimming away what is no longer useful and strengthening the traits that ensure survival. Today, when we see a herd of American bison moving across a prairie, we are looking at the living descendants of a lineage that stretches back hundreds of thousands of years. These animals carry the legacy of their ancient ancestors while representing the success of adaptation in an ever-changing world. And if you enjoyed discovering how a prehistoric giant evolved into one of North America's most iconic animals, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. There are many more incredible stories from the world of ancient wildlife waiting to be explored.